something crazy happened, so I thought I would talk about it. So for those who did not know, GN's signature weapon had a text error on the Japanese version of the game. So how it's supposed to be and how it is on the NA server, where it says every time an intro skill or resonance liberation, which is like your burst or your ultimate, is cast, increase the heavy attack damage bonus by 24%, stacking up to 2 times. The error was that instead of saying Resonance Liberation, which is the burst, it would say Resonance Skill, which is your skill, which on a character like Calcharo is really, really good because Calcharo has 3 counts of his skill, meaning that you would get that 24 damage bonus 2 times with just 2 casts of the skill. That's broken, that's OP, that's why people wanted it. So a lot of people on the JP server heavily wailed for this weapon because they thought this is perfect for Calcharo because he can immediately cast 2 skills, but as we know from the translation from the NA server game and the CN server game, it did not work like that. So yeah, a lot of JP players wailed, got the weapon, and it's just like, oh, text change is happening, and here's the update. It's like, sorry about that text change, here's 160 primo, and yeah, it was like a whole big things. So Karo was just like, okay, if you guys have been affected by that, you can email us, right? Email Kuro Games if you've been affected by this, with theoretically the idea that they would help you guys, that they would help people out. If they were affected by it, maybe some people were thinking they could get like a refund for wailing so hard for the weapon, when it turns out that the weapon was not what they were anticipating. But in here is where it gets bad, really bad. So, as it says here, I got a reply from Narushiro, which I think is Kuro Games. It turned out to be the same as Gento, and I can see other people's email addresses too, and that's just ridiculous. So here we go. Got the email sent by Kuro Games over here telling them the message, which also low-key thing. I think all Kuro Games said is that tell your bank about this, and then your bank can refund you the money, and then you can be refunded the money, but then you would lose the primo, and then your primo would go into the negative. Usually in games where your primo goes into negative numbers, you're going to be banned up after a couple of days of your primo going into the negatives. But I think in this instance, they'll let you refund, your primo would go into the negative, and then you'll be like, you're just not be banned, but you still have to make up the primo anyway. And as well, with going into the negatives, the people who wailed probably wailed with these bonuses, and they pretty much lost those bonuses forever until these bonuses reset too. So it's like, is that really like something that they would necessarily, is that really the solution that they were looking for? So that's a whole issue in itself. So the real issue is this, and it is bad, bad, bad. If you sent an email, what you got back in the reply that you got back, the reply had every single email to the people that sent one to Kuro Games, like in the CC. They forgot that all the emails were CC'd, and so every single email was attached, and yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes. So every single email here, completely 100% data leak. 100% data leak. If you just happened to email Kuro Games about this issue and they emailed you back, you got the email of every single person that did that, which is just like, whoo, huge privacy problem, huge privacy problem. So yeah, that's a thing Kuro has to deal with. I don't know full things about like legality and things like that. I don't know if you could push a charge maybe because of this. I don't know if people would want to, but it is, regardless, it is a huge privacy issue. Should have never happened, and that is a yikes. That is a yikes. Another quick thing I want to look at as well is the revenue charts. Revenue charts for May drop right here, and people are wondering, well, where did Wuthering Waves fall? Where did Wuthering Waves fall on the number chart there? And it did decent. It did decent, but super not high up. So we got 13 mil for both of them. Global did a little bit less, and Wuthering is at 13.8 mil. Of course, it's very nice, right? This is a very nice profit, but not as much as maybe some people were expecting, considering how hyped up it was. And, you know, the lackluster release is definitely playing a role here. I mean, it's a double-pronged thing, right? The lackluster release, and then they're giving a lot of free pulls away, so not that many people are cashing as well. You know, and we got this JP problem as well, so people are just like, well, what if I wail for something, and then it turns out the thing I wailed for wasn't correct, and they change it, and it's just like, well, why did I even wail for? You know, I think that JP thing goes really, really bad. Like, I think it's a bad showing of just being like, okay, if you kind of commit to pulling something hard, like, the money you put in may not be a full-fledged investment because they might change it. I know some people are suggesting that they buff the weapon, that it includes both the skill and the burst, which would be insane, but maybe because, yeah, this ain't doing too hot. It ain't doing too. I mean, it's doing fine, right? 13 mil, of course, is still amazing. But I think the biggest thing to compare it to, honestly, is not even Genshin. But we'll come back to that. It's actually Solo Leveling Arise. Solo Leveling Arise, another brand new game. It does have an anime backing it that is pretty hype as well. But it did 41 mil in its first month, and whew. It came out, I think, about like maybe 1 or 2 weeks before Wuthering Waves, so it definitely has a leg up in terms of duration. But still, it did very, very good. And okay, let's talk about Genshin. Here we go. This is one of Genshin's worst months, actually. 30 mil, 23 mil. The Skara, what is it, Baizu banners, probably one of the worst banners in the game. I think both the characters are perfectly fine, but both their weapons aren't really good and aren't really desirable for people to pull for. And even the characters themselves, they're both reran. They're both not the most popular characters. They're not the super strongest characters. They're just kind of okay. And most people that would have them kind of already got them. So yeah, it's probably one of Genshin's worst showings here. And still, Wuthering Waves couldn't catch up. Genshin did one of its weakest banners, and Wuthering Waves still couldn't catch up. And that you know, I think it does speak volumes, because the biggest thing that's gonna happen, and this is why it matters so much, the official release for Zenless Zone Zero has been announced, July 4th, America Day. This is going to be one of the biggest opponents that Wuthering Waves has to face in terms of a release window. Wuthering Waves is the new game on the block. It is the new hotness, and is taking up all that time and energy of being the new game right now. But it's only gonna have that for 1 more month. Wuthering Waves has a whole month to solidify itself, to get a proper audience that will stick with them, right? That will stick with them before they lose that new game hype. Wuthering Waves is like, it's encroaching soon. It's gonna lose that new game hype. So if they don't establish a stable player base, it may just fall to the wayside and just be kind of an okay game, which is fine, right? I think it being an okay game is completely fine. But if they want to like do extremely well, they got a month. They got a month. But it may not be all doom and gloom, because as we see here, Wuthering Waves 1.0 future updates, they put a nice little like letter / patch notes thing / stop playing music in my ear about the things that they're going to improve. So we got things like echoes being less grindy. We got things like the reward system for the echoes, making that like a lot more manageable. Because in my opinion, the echo system is one of the worst systems ever that this game has. I don't know what the heck they were doing with that. It's cool you can grind them infinitely, but trying to like get the substats, it was terrible. It's some good stuff. You know, I can't lie and be like, all this is bad things, and it shows that they're definitely like communicating and things like that and trying to make things better. Something very interesting that they're doing is they're accelerating the kind of events and things that are happening. They're accelerating it to June 6th, which is really interesting, which includes releasing Yinlin early, which is, I didn't quite expect that. But hey, if that's the strategy that they want to play, it's an interesting thing, you know? It keeps more new stuff coming in the game quicker to try and retain the audience, right? Because I think that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day, and I just said it as well, is it's audience retention. All these things are great. All these things are fantastic. I like all the things being mentioned here. It's clear that they're, like, you know, trying their best to, like, listen and adjust and things like that and improving the game. But the real question is, you know, can they keep a solid player base? Because the new game is coming out and they're losing their, you know, they're losing their spotlight very, very soon. I have my own grievances with the game, aside from the things mentioned in these videos, and I have things that I like a lot in this video game that I did not mention here, which is why I'm working on that other video. But in terms of the things that are going down here, I think it all comes down to they're probably being really overworked, they're probably really understaffed, but at the same time, the product is out, and they gotta do what they gotta do, you know? They gotta be a lot more robust in things that they're doing, and it's nice that they're mentioning it here too. Like with the translation stuff, they're gonna make the translations more robust and things like that. Because especially when it comes to your shop items, mistranslating those is like, ooh, that's like omega, omega bad. Um, but hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think how it is right now, they're doing okay. Again, going back to the profits, they're doing all right. They're doing fine. But it's shaky right now, right? It's very shaky. And this June is gonna be the month. June is gonna be the month. Is this gonna be the success story where they can really like be like, okay, we had a bad launch, but we can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and really make something special here? Or is it gonna be just the same of just like they really can't keep up with the things going on, constantly having glitches, constantly having problems, constantly having issues, but some of the things are good, some of the things are bad, and it's just like a big messy thing? We'll see. We'll see. June is their big month. Zenzola Zero is on the way soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day. I will see you guys next time. Tell me what you think about Wuthering Waves. Tell me what you think about Zenzoneless. Before this week is over, I'm going to try my best to upload that true Wuthering Waves video. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day. I'm going to see you guys next time. And peace out.